What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Manny here once again. Welcome back to another WNBA lineup advice video here for you guys here at DFS Zone. And before I get started, I appreciate you guys drop a like. And if you have not subscribed, it's your first time here, please subscribe down below and do not forget to turn on those notifications. That way you do not miss any of my new uploads or any of my live shows. Okay, with that being said, today is Wednesday, August the 8th, 2018. We got a two-game slate in the WNBA today. We got LA at New York, Connecticut at Dallas. And before I go over the games, just wanted to recap a little bit about yesterday. As far as some of the plays I gave you guys. I gave you guys that guard real quickly. Bonner, Lloyd, and McBride, I told you couldn't go wrong with any one of the three girls. Well, unfortunately, only Bonner really had a great game, and I told you guys that she was my favorite play of the day at guard. She did play well. 41.9 fantasy points, pretty much a 42 spot. Lloyd, I don't have a number for Lloyd. I know the last time I saw, I think she was at only about 20 fantasy points or so. I don't know if she finished with anything better than that. So definitely a rough night for Jewel Lloyd. McBride finished with 30.1, pretty much a 30 spot. Bird with 30. I did tell you that I like Tolliver as well. She finished with 29.3. Not too bad. Quigley, I don't know what Vandersloot got, but Quigley only finished with 23. I did play her in a few of my after-hour lineups. I had 3 lineups in the after hours, and I had her in 2 out of the 3. Under 5K, not too bad there. Natasha Cloud, I told you I was really on. She finished with 34.4, and I also tell you that I was definitely loving Alex Bentley, and she definitely had a heck of a game, 42.4 fantasy points for Atlanta. And I told you I was definitely interested in Stephanie Talbert, and she finished with 22.8. Didn't have really any value plays under 4K under guards. I told you the best value plays, at least for me, were in the forward and center positions. So I told you Stewart was in play. She was my best play and my favorite play. She finished with 41.4. I did tell you that Della Don was in play. She finished with 39.3, a little low for her. Natasha Howard, I told you she was in play. She was fantastic, 45.6 fantasy points. I told you to fade Asia Wilson because of the matchup, and it definitely panned out that way because the Atlanta girls just went bonkers on Las Vegas up front, in which I just felt that was going to be the case. So I was right on with that. I did tell you that I was on McCautry and Breland the most, and both of them had fantastic games. But Elizabeth Williams, had even a better game than both of those girls, putting up 43.5, and I think had about 5 or 6 blocks. I mean, an incredible day, 12, 13 blocks, I think, among these 3 girls. It was just really something to see. I caught the game back and forth a little bit. Did tell you that in for Indiana, I thought Candace Dupree up front had the best possibility and the best chance to put up decent numbers, and she did. She put up 39.1, pretty much a 39 spot. Ariel Powers definitely struggled, 8.1. Definitely was very surprised that she did not get more fantasy points and get more minutes on the floor. But my under 4K, the value plays, Swords, I told you that she was a possibility. She finished with 19.3. She was the best out of all of them. Other than her, Zeldin Zini, who started for Minnesota as opposed to Fag Bentley, put up 16.7. I did tell you it was a pick-em between Fag Bentley, Zeldin Zini, and Larkins, and I had favored Larkins and Fag Bentley, just like a lot of you guys felt the same way as well. And go figure, Aldazini had the better game. Only 3.4 for Fag Bentley. That was horrible, and Larkins only 10. My sneaky plays, Coates and Hawkins, definitely were poor as well. Coates didn't play a whole lot of minutes, but did put up 10.4 fantasy points. I expected her to play a little bit more, especially when they were losing so bad. I just don't get that. But nonetheless, that didn't pan out, and Hawkins was just as bad at 8.6. So didn't do well with the value plays, but did well with the mid-tier and as well with the top plays of the day. So I'm pretty good, feel good about that. And that's the reason why I try to give you guys 15 to as many as 20 plays, let you guys narrow it down, and we come back live, and then we try to, discuss it and see what I think is the best possible plays by that end. So I hope some of you guys made some money. I only made money, pretty much my money back in the quarters. I made 8 25-cent lineups because, again, there's just really no contests other than the 5K, and I'm not willing to play 4, 5, or 6 lineups in the 5K when I got NFL around the corner. I really want to keep my bankroll where it's at and be able to utilize that money to get ready for the football season, and then of course to the NBA. But that's me. Again, I'm here to really help you guys. I'm still going to play WNBA, but I'm not going to play a whole lot of money. All right. So LA week. So the first matchup here, we got LA at New York. I got implied totals of 156 at the moment, with LA favored on the road by 9. LA comes in as the 3rd seed, 17-11 record. They're 7-5 on the road, and they're 3-2 over the course of the last 5 games. And during the course of those 5 games, they have played 2 games on the road, and they have won them both. New York is coming in. They are 11th in the standings, pretty much out of the playoffs, 7-21. They're 4-11 at home, and during the course of the last 5 games, they have lost all 5 games. They are on a horrific 7-game losing streak right now. They're the worst team in the WNBA, wrapping up the season. And during the course of those 5 games or 7 games, they have played 3 at home, and of course have lost all 3. Coming in, I do have here the team stats, and like I did yesterday, I basically just gonna share it with you. You guys can actually always come back to the video and check it out. But I can see New York, LA advantages for LA in field goal percentage, 46%, 3-point shooting, they're almost nearly 35%. Free throw percentage is better than New York at 81%. They definitely struggle in rebounding. New York has them there, and in assists, New York has them there at 19-18. Steals 7.5, an advantage for LA. Turnover ratio, LA a little bit better, only 12.5 turnovers a game as opposed to New York's 14.5. Points 79-78. The pace is 79-77 as far as possessions. New York a little bit better there. To percentage points from 2, LA has the advantage there at 79%, and New York has the advantage in the threes at 26%. So you can always come back and take a look at that and slow it down after you see the video. We go to the game itself at the moment, or before we go to the game, the last 4 games, I like to give this information out. In the last 4 games, LA has given up 48 points per game to the forwards and centers from an average of 47.8. So they pretty much have been playing at the same pace as they've done all year long. LA also against guards, they have improved against guards. They have only given up 23.5 fantasy points per game. Excuse me, not fantasy, points per game to their opponents, their guards, when they were averaging 27.3. So they have bettered themselves by 4 points there. New York comes in this particular state, they're the worst at giving up points to forwards and centers, coughing up 53.7 points per game over the course of the last 4 games from an average of 49.3. So they have been stumbling more so over the last 4 games, giving up 4 more points to forwards and centers. At guard, they're coughing up 33.5 points per game to guards from an average of 34.6. So they actually have improved by 1 point over the last 4 games. So with this, at least initial look, and as well as the team stats, it looks like we can definitely target field goal percentage and 3-point percentage. And then I'm looking at, as far as New York, LA could definitely attack them, and they already have done that by beating. One thing also I forgot to tell you, LA and New York have played 1 game so far this year, and it was a blowout. LA did win that game 80-54, so I don't expect no different today. Maybe a little closer than that game, but I don't see New York having a chance here. So definitely you want to target, obviously, the front court players of LA, considering New York is having trouble up front. And even though New York has been giving up 33.5, and that's an improvement at guard, I still think that LA could definitely, target that area as well with their guards. I mean, with, of course, Miss Chelsea Gray and company. So let's look at the game. I like Chelsea Gray off the bat, 7,700. You need about 37, and she pretty much is averaging 30. And obviously, anytime you see prices here on Fanduel, you're always concerned, why is it so high? 7,700, like I said, you need about 37, and she's not going to get 37 all the time. She plays massive minutes. I mean, so we know she's a stud there as far as minutes are concerned. She's going to get them. It's all a matter if she's going to be able to pay off that price. So even though it's a 2-game slate, at a 2-game slate like this, you take the best possible plays you can. You just got to figure out if she's going to be highly owned or not. And she is the top guard here, especially if there's no Diggins Smith today, which I believe she is not going to play. So Chelsea Gray will be the top dog here in this particular slate at 7,700. So it's a matter of, is she near this range, or she's at least by her average or better? I always look at the number first, and if she's hitting that in the last few games, that is fantastic, because that means she's not only hitting her value as far as price is concerned, but she's also topping her average. So her average is at 30. She definitely has been doing well enough over 30 in at least 5 I see here 4 out of the last 6 games. So I am comfortable with that. She's been playing massive minutes. She's been playing excellent. She's scoring. She's facilitating. She's passing. She's getting rebounds. She's actually even defending, getting some steals. Chelsea Gray's been playing well. This LA team has been playing really, really good. I've caught a number of their games the last 4 or 5 games or so, and I was been really impressed on how they've been playing defense and as well as offense. So Chelsea Gray is definitely in play, someone you could definitely target here. She may be highly owned and today because of the 2-game slate, but there's a possibility a lot of people will fade her. So there could be a possibility she could be very low owned. All right, New York, man, it's tough, man, with these girls. It's a pick 'em for me as far as who may come off for New York. The other day, I wasn't on Nurse. I thought she was definitely a possible play against Seattle, and she ended up being the top player as far as the guard position for New York. So it's just hard to tell which way they're going to go. So Brittany Boyd is in play. I just don't feel, I'm not on so much on Brittany Boyd. I will probably bypass her and Hartley, and I will probably figure here the next 2 girls that I would probably consider would be Essence Carson at 5,100. You need 25 pretty much from her. She hasn't been playing, I think, the last few games enough minutes, but in a situation like this against New York, I can see if the LA starts pulling away, that Essence Carson will get some more time on the floor. So that's what I'm thinking. You know, she only played 14 and 18 the last few games, and that's because Miss Gray has been just on fire. But if they can get out early and get a 10, 15-point lead, I can see Essence Carson getting some more time on the floor today. So she could be a possible play. A possible play, again, that's a hefty price for someone that is a possibility. So it's always a concern, but it is the 2-game slate, so pretty much everybody's available. It's just a matter of really figuring out who is the one, or whom are the players that are going to play the most minutes, and whom is going to come off. Who's the one who's going to go off? Sugar Rogers didn't have a great game the other day against Seattle. I think she may have a better game here today. You know, somebody's got to go off for New York. Something tells me maybe Sugar Rogers. She is getting enough minutes over the last 3, 4, 5 games, and that's obvious due to the fact that they don't have Zealous and Epiphany Prince. So she's taking advantage of that, but she needs to continue to score. She's capable of getting you 30, all right? So, you know, it's just a matter of how New York plays it. So she's in play. Odyssey Sims is in play at 4,800. Elena Beard, I mean, a lot of you guys in the live shows always ask about Elena Beard. Elena Beard is not a bad player. She's just, to me, is more defense. She's more about, you know, getting, she brings a lot of energy to the court. She defends. She runs up and down the floor really quickly. But she's not putting enough points, man. 27 and 30 minutes respectively, and only 9 and 8. That's just not enough for me, man. I need to see her. And she's capable of being in the mid-20s, but that's probably her max. You know, so I don't see a whole lot of upside even when she's playing at 4,300. But then again, with prices at 5 and at 5,100, she's not a bad play at 4,300 if you're going to look at it that way. All right, if she happens to have a big night, gets a couple points on the board and gets a couple big steals, then the fantasy points will grow. Kia Nurse could be probably one of the better plays today. And considering that she played so well the other day, I wouldn't be surprised she's a 25-30% owned player or better. She put 30 fantasy points in 36 minutes against Seattle, which is a fairly good team. But I could see why she was able to go off here. Athletic, fast. She loves playing the fast-paced game. I should have figured that out myself, and that's one of the reasons why they probably penciled her in more. She started coming off good, and New York kept on the floor because she was doing so well. So when she gets hot and she's able to go up and down the floor the way she's capable of, she can be very dangerous. So 4,200, not a bad play. I think Kia Nurse is someone you can consider. You need 21 from her, and we know that she has 30, even 40-point upside. She's done it before. I'm not on anybody else down here. We go to the forwards. Definitely, you know, you got a lot of nice plays here. The one thing about this particular 2-game slate here is that I think the front end has a little bit more better plays than the back end. So the backcourt definitely is an area that maybe you might need to look. You may want to take maybe 2 studs up front. I think that there's 2 good possibilities up front in this slate over the backcourt. We go to the front here, forwards here. We got Candace Parker. Definitely love her. Hands down, she's in play, guys. You know, 5 out of the last 6 games, she's averaging 38 plus, and she has 50-point upside. The last time she played New York, she put a 41.4 spot in a blowout. All right, so she was the top dog in that game, and she only played in 27 minutes. Right down here, 27 minutes, 5, 7, 6, 2, 1. Lit up the freaking damn stat board. Put up 41.4 fantasy points. The only drawback is, again, guys, is that 2-game slate like this, she's probably one of the better plays other than Liz Cambage. So I think them two are going to be a little bit highly owned. I know I'm going to be on some Parker and some Cambage, so it's going to be tough. You're going to definitely have to look at some other possibilities like Athena Charles, who more than likely could be possibly low owned today. You know, I mean, it's a tough matchup for Athena Charles. There's no doubt about it. The last time she played LA, she only put up a 16.8 spot in 27 minutes in a blowout situation, only 10, 4, and basically nothing else, 1 steal. So really not impressive. The whole team was not playing well that day. They could play better. Remember, New York, again, let's not fall asleep on New York. They're 7. They have nothing to play for. Teams like this sometimes get up for these games. This may be a matchup where they may get up for it, especially Tina Charles going up against some All-Stars in Aguma K and Parker. So you never know. Tina Charles could be someone you could target here against LA. LA has been really, really tough up front and in the backcourt. In the last 4 or 5 games, they've been looking fantastic. So really a tough matchup for her. Nneka Ogwumike in play as well. If you want to save $500 or $600 over Candace Parker, she is more than likely not going to be highly owned, whereas Parker will be more highly owned. So you may look at Nneka. She's not putting huge numbers up since being out with the illness for 3 games, but she's capable of getting you 50, as you can see here. I say more. She's more of an average, steady 28 to about 33, 34. She's usually in that range, and I think that she can get you that amount today. So if you're willing to, pay a couple $100 less and have a little less upside, if you want the big upside, then you go with Candace Parker over Ogwumike. But Nneka Ogwumike in play. I like Amanda Zui B here. I never played her much, but I've been playing her as of late, and she's been getting things done, man. She's been playing for New York, and somebody needed to step up, and she's finally one of the ones that has been doing that. And over the course of the last 4 games, 20 minutes to as high as 28 minutes. She's getting anywhere between 23 to as high as 32 fantasy points, and she actually didn't play badly when she played LA. She played LA 23 minutes in that losing effort. Obviously, she probably played then more minutes because of the losing effort, and she may play more today if they can stay close. So 22 fantasy points in 23 minutes, had 21 points from the floor. A very nice day. On top of, she had a little drawback. She did have four turnovers. But Amanda Zui B is someone you can consider. 4,600, man, with the potential of putting up 25 to 30. I mean, she's going to smash value. And those numbers are comparable to possibly what how much Nneka Ogwumike may score at that 28 to 30 range. And you're going to pay up almost $3,000 more. So definitely she is someone at that low value that is pretty darn good in this slate. Kia Vaughn could be another viable option. Vaughn, the minutes, 10, 14, and 17 as of late. I mean, it's tough. I just don't know why she's not playing more minutes than that. But I guess Amanda's playing well, and they don't need her to play as many minutes. But at $100 cheaper, I mean, I'd rather pay $100 more and take Amanda Zui B. Again, I think Zui B in this particular game, if you're targeting New York and LA, obviously she's going to be the top New York player other than Tina Charles up front that I would think most people will select. But, Vaughn is in play. Jonquil Lavender, to me, will be in play only if this game ends up being another blowout. I can't see her, they already have shown since Nneka Ogwumike has come back that Jonquil Lavender has been faded away. 9 minutes in the last game, 14 prior to that, and these are the 2 games since Nneka has come back. She has a reduction in minutes. When Nneka was away ill, she put in quality minutes and actually was productive. Surprisingly, I'm surprised they're not utilizing her at least 15 or 20 minutes a game off the bench because she was doing so well before. But that's the WNBA for you, so you just don't know. But I know for a fact, I truly believe that if they get a little bit of a lead here, she will see some time. So she could be someone to consider there at 3,900. Now, another one you can consider also if the game is a blowout is Maria Vadivasov. 3,800, definitely someone you can consider. And then for the New York side, definitely Marissa Coleman. But I am not, I will know more. Again, the live show later, I'll be able to pinpoint to you after a little bit more due diligence here on this 2-game slate. I'll be able to tell you and narrow it down more on who I think are the best possible plays and the best game stack, team stacks, and so on and so forth, value plays and so on. That's pretty much it. That's what I'm looking at here in this game. Let's go to Connecticut and Dallas. We have implied totals of 169.5 with Connecticut, of course, favorite on the road by 4. Connecticut comes in the 5th seed. They're 16-12, and they're 7-8 on the road. Okay. Dallas is coming in. They are the 8th seed. They need every win possible, but they got a good shot here now because Las Vegas has stumbled over the last couple of games, so I don't see Las Vegas catching up to them now, especially if they could pull this one out today. But Dallas is coming in 14-14. They're 9-6 at home, and over the course of the last 5 games, they're 0-5. They're just as bad as New York has been, but they are a better team, so they're definitely going to have to snap out of it. Maybe this was the game. Connecticut is 3-2 over the last 5 games. Going back to Dallas, in the 5-game stretch, they've played 3 games at home, and they lost all 3 of those games. Coming into the game, Dallas in the last 4 games have given up 49 points per game to the forwards and centers. From their average of 48, they have actually given up only 1 more additional point per game, so they're not too bad up front. The guard play has definitely slipped a little bit. They're giving up 36.7 points per game, nearly 37 points per game over the course of the last 4 games, and their average is 34, so that's nearly minus 3 more points that they've been giving up to the guard position. Connecticut on the other side of the ball, against forwards and centers, they've been coughing up 46 points per game from an average of 50.2. They have improved by 4, so definitely pretty solid up front. Connecticut has been as of late. I had told you guys early on, as soon as they get Alyssa Thomas back with time, you will see that they will improve in that as far as giving up points to the opponents. At guard, they're giving up 32 points per game over the course of the last 4 games, and their average is 29.1, pretty much 29. So they've actually been giving up 3 more points per game to guards over the last 4 games. All right. We look here at guard. We have Skylar Diggins Smith. She's still here, game time decision as far as the face is concerned, or concussion, whatever it may be. So right now you probably have to fade her. If there is any news, I do have, I'll stay on top of it. If there is any news or any change, or anybody else there as far as part of the community knows of anything, please let us know on YouTube or Twitter or whatever. I do have Twitter as well for Dallas, so I follow them as well. And maybe they'll post something up. But Skylar Diggins Smith right now is a game time decision. We'll see what happens. If she is able to play, yeah, she's in play. I think it's a tough matchup for her, though. I will not be playing her. When we go down here to Courtney Williams and Jasmine Thomas, I'm just going to skip Courtney Williams. I like Courtney Williams. I think the matchup is better for Jasmine Thomas. She is $200 cheaper. I like Jasmine Thomas at $6,700. You need pretty much about 33, and she's averaging 24. So we'll look to see if she's around 33. She did over 33 in the last game against Vegas. She's been in that 24 range, pretty close here with 22 and 22 with Washington, New York. Did have a 30 spot against Dallas the last time she played Dallas, and she did that in 33 minutes. So not a bad outing against Dallas. She's capable of getting you a steady 25 to maybe even 30. I like her here. Definitely the price is too high for her. But as you can see, she has 30, maybe even 35-point upside. So I like Jasmine Thomas here in this game. Elisha Gray, remember how I haven't been feeling Dallas over the last game or 2 because they have just killed me for 3 or 4 games where I was loading up on their front court. Other than Cam Page, who's been solid, everybody else has been a bust for me. Every time I play Gray, she's been terrible. Every time I play Kayla Davis, she gets enough minutes, not enough scoring. And then up front, there was 3-game stretch where I was utilizing Thornton or maybe even Ezra Stevens or Ms. Johnson, and none of them came through. So I am definitely fading, and that's just strictly me. I'm going to go over them. I'm going to let you know who I think are the best plays coming in. But Elisha Gray, $5,900, a little too pricey. She does play good minutes. I noticed that she hasn't played as many minutes in the last couple of games. Well, last game, 19 minutes against Washington, only put 13 fantasy points up. But 33-32, massive minutes. She only had this one big game here, and that's probably the only big game she had all year. And, of course, that's what Diggins Smith out. We will love her to do that here against Connecticut. But in the game against Connecticut, she only put up 14 and 28 minutes. It's just really, really a tough matchup for Dallas up front, up in the backcourt. I like their chances better in the front court with Connecticut, even though Connecticut has improved in the front. I think that's an area for Dallas to target. Shekinah Strickland could be someone in play. Remember, she's the one who had that career 3-point shooting game against Dallas. 4,200. The only thing is she's choppy with the minutes. The last time she played massive minutes was that day that she was hot. They kept on the court because they rode her. she was doing so well. 44 fantasy points in 35 minutes. She had 24 points from the floor. Definitely someone to consider here, considering already the history that she already lit them up one time before. Obviously, Connecticut is going to be aware of that. So possibly someone to consider at 4,200 in a two-game slate like this. Why not? I'm not on Bantam. I'm not on anybody else here. You could consider, if the game gets a little out of hand, Laney for Connecticut. She did play some minutes in the last game in the blowout. And Kayla Davis playing a lot of massive minutes for Dallas while Diggins Smith has been out. But, man, she's just not scoring. I mean, 38 and 34, and you're only putting up 12 and 15. I mean, I need a better performance than that. So right now, today I'm going to probably fade her. I'm not sure as of yet at this moment. I mean, obviously she's in play. She plays massive minutes, and she's fairly cheap. But I don't know. If she's not going to put up any points, I'd rather put my money somewhere else. So we'll see what happens. But she is definitely in play at 3,600. I'm more than likely going to fade her. Laney, like I said, is in play. We go to the forwards. That's pretty much there for guards. We go to the forwards. I mean, obviously Liz Cambage is in play. 8,600. I mean, she's averaging 42, and I think she's been averaging more than 42 for a while. You know, I mean, she has been crushing her average. And then she's been at the good value at 8,600. You pretty much need like 43 or 44, and that's pretty close. You know, they definitely have her price just about right. You know, she did a 34 spot, only bum game against 20. You know, with 28 minutes against Washington, but overall, I mean, she has been just lights out. So I see her here, and in the last game against Connecticut, 43.5 fantasy points in 38 minutes in a losing effort, 25, 10, and 5. She's going to put up those same numbers again because it's going to be very tough for Thomas or Agumake, especially Agumake, who plays usually center, to really go up there and bang away with this girl who's 6'8". I mean, Liz Cambage has a lot of advantages. She has the weight on her side and she has the height. And these girls are more thinner, more athletic kind of ball players. So what I could see is, hey, if Connecticut really wants to make it difficult on Cambage, or they may go two ways. They may want to, you know, press on her, double team her a little bit more this time around, try to slow her down. Remember, if you do that to Cambage, just like the teams have been doing to Sylvia Fowles, she's going to be foul prone and she's also going to be turnover prone. She has a tendency of doing a lot of turnovers when she's under pressure like that, and then she gets frustrated, and then all other things break loose. So watch out for that, where these two girls may make it a little more difficult on Cambage. Now, they may just say, hey, you know, we'll let you do your thing and we'll defend you the best way you can, and we're going to see if your backcourt without Diggins Smith can beat us. And I think that's the area. I think they may go with that idea and say, hey, you know, let Liz take up as many shots as she can, but we're not going to let the backcourt or anybody else beat us. So that may be the best strategy to go. Or I can see them also pressing, doing some presses and doing some double teams on her, maybe even triple teams, just to get her to make bad decisions. So Cambage is in play. I probably will play her in one lineup. She may be highly owned, but if anybody's thinking the way I'm thinking as a coach, because I coach baseball, I always look at it as a coaching aspect with the mindset. I mean, that will be a strategy I will use. So maybe we'll see how Connecticut defends her. But Alyssa Thomas in play, 7,500. You need 37 from her. And I think she's been, she's good for 30 or better. She's not going to light up the scoreboard. You know, she can get you 40. As you can see, she did that here. 3 out of her last 6 games, she's pretty much near her average of 29. So that's not bad. Her price obviously is a little high, but so is everybody on Fanduel. But it is a 2-game slate, so you have, obviously, everybody is in play. I'm looking at it as, is she hitting her average, and how did she do against the opponent? The last time they played once before, she put up a 27, pretty much almost 28 fantasy points in 26 minutes. So she had a nice game, 9, 8, and 6. So Alyssa Thomas is in play. And you can go with Shanae Agumake as well. Shanae, 7,300. You pretty much need about 36 from her, so pretty much almost the same as Miss Thomas. She's capable, like Miss Thomas, of getting at least close to that 40. They're not going to really get in that high 40 range, but that the tandem of them two together, working together, they can get you, 30 to 32 each, maybe even as high as 35, and give you 70 points, fantasy points together if you were to team them up. But they are pretty solid. Against Dallas, only played 15 minutes, and got 22 fantasy points. Over here, these minutes are a little lower. That was a blowout against Las Vegas or New York, one of the two. So, I mean, you got to always take that into account with Shanae. They're not going to put her out there for massive minutes if they're blowing people out. So Shanae Ogwumike, Alyssa Thomas in play at 7,300. Glory Johnson could be in play. I'm not in favor of her at 7,100. Again, I'm a little worried about the Dallas players, but I think if Dallas is going to have a shot here today, it's got to be up front. And if they're going to double team or do something to make Cam Page dish out that ball, then you can look for Johnson, Stevens, or Thornton to have a good game. And I'd rather pay down and take Kayla Thornton, who had a nice game, who was capable of getting 30 plus any given day. Is a good, decent three-point shooter when she gets those open looks. So she might be someone to consider. But other than Thomas and Ogwumike, I love Jonquil Jones here at 6,300. If I'm going to pay in that 6,000 range here in this slate, definitely Jonquil, Double J is not a bad play. She's been averaging more than a fantasy point per minute for several games now, about 4 in a row. So I really like that. I don't like the fact that she's playing minimal minutes, but if she can be this effective and this efficient in that a little bit of time and put up these kind of numbers, I'm okay with that at 6,300. So Jonquil Jones is definitely someone I'm considering here in this slate. 5 out of her last 6 games at 22 plus, which is pretty much her average, and she is capable of getting in the mid-30s. Definitely a good matchup for her. Miss A. Stevens, Azare Stevens in play, 6,100. Like I said, I kind of like Kayla Thornton a little bit more. Last time she played Connecticut, she only played 14 minutes, only put up 4 fantasy points. As of late, 19 and 8 in between here. Did have that massive game against Indiana. It's just hard to gauge these guys and the coaching. I just don't know. But I think Kayla Thornton, she's been steady as far as getting the minutes. She usually starts. She's capable of hitting the 3. As you can see, the minutes are a lot bigger here, and I look for players in that 20-minute range or better, at least at this point of the year. And you know what? She stumbled a few games here, which I had her in some of these games. I'm willing to go back to the well with her again today against Connecticut. Her, other than Cam Page, are probably the only ones I would consider. But I think she's a nice play at 5,700, man. She's a lot cheaper than Jonquil Jones and definitely a lot cheaper than Glory Johnson. So Kayla Thornton, someone in play. Then it come down here. Morgan Tuck in play as a value play. I mean, not too much of a value play, but in this slate, 4,300. She's on the lower tier. And I don't think that she's not too bad. I mean, she's had 2 20-plus points in the last 3 games. And if she can get 18 or better minutes, yes, you can see here in the last 2, and even over here, 26 minutes, 24 minutes, was able to put decent numbers. She can get those kind of numbers, and it can happen here. If Connecticut gets runs away a little bit here on Dallas, you can see Morgan Tuck getting a little bit more minutes. I'm not on anybody else. That's pretty much it, guys. The lower half here, Thornton and Tuck. So I'm going to definitely do my due diligence. I'm going to come back later on. Live show, guys. Don't forget, live show. Hopefully my stream will be a lot better today. I'm going to look into that and see if there's some memory, some stuff that's on that's really slowing me down. And I'm going to make sure that everybody in the house is off Wi-Fi when I come on later. I never had an issue before, but last night was definitely terrible. I know you guys were able to hear me, but I definitely want you guys to be able to see me as well. So with that being said, I'll see you guys later on in the live stream. Drop a like on the video. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. And I'll see you guys later on.